Okay. This thing says we're live here. It says we're live. 14:39 on August the 20th. I wanted to go on the record here based on my last stream talking about YouTube being unethical, immoral, and flat out criminal based on international law. And I wanted to expand on another theme of reality that most people probably take for granted, specific to perversion of the Q movement that, to my knowledge, began in 2018, shortly after we had received our political asylum grant via World Service and had got our passports for the ability to leave this land. And all these people that were supposedly behind the Q movement not realizing what was really going on. I thought I'd hit rewind and go back and let people see a dose of reality of what's really going on this internet and why it's so critical that people pay attention to reality versus this mental game that's being played against people's rights, particularly ever since Donald Trump stood up to try to help people. I wanted to show you the dangers of what's going on out here in any movement that gets people's attention. Because of the fiat currency and the pay-per-click environment and these corporate shells' ability to alter reality for profit based on an illegal construct of what allows for legitimate money to move from one account to another, understanding that most of the accounts are fake anyway. Imagine for a moment a movement that was designed to protect children being usurped by the people that traffic children. And you say, well, what are you talking about? Well, instead of me being one to run my mouth, I'm just going to show you reality of just how criminal YouTube really is one more time, and how criminal these fake intelligence agencies are. Not necessarily being against the idea of intelligence agencies, but being against the people that are usurping the integrity of law enforcement and the integrity of signals for monetary gain outside of the purview that they retain. And we know a lot of that goes on within these so-called government-owned entities and these so-called publicly funded entities. And the one that should be brought to your attention is going back to reality. One of the important things of unquote, the Q movement has been to raise awareness to the lack of rights of the minority of the world, which would be considered the working class today. And then you put it in perspective, understanding why it is a simple question. Why do human beings profit from the exploitation of children? And what would be the best example of proving to you that a publicly traded, unethical, convicted criminal just pays bribes and keeps monetizing human trafficking and exploitation of children? So what I'm going to do to prove what I'm saying is I'm going to go back to YouTube here, and I'm going to click on the YouTube channel. And if you notice up here, I've gone so far as to just do a simple search on the YouTube platform, and I plugged in the letter Q. And then I went in and I said, well, I want to sort by view count. And lo and behold, what do you find? The answer to the human traffickers and the people that make money off of children that have been confronted by people in the Q movement is that the people that human traffic and exploit children have decided to take the key word mentality of being profitable, and they've made it work for them. And the way that you know is you're looking right here. The number one count on YouTube associated with Q is a video of a child with over 1 billion views that was happening right in the middle of the rise of Q in 2018. And you can do this own research on your own. You can do uppercase or lowercase, and it'll give you the same thing. And you go back and you just scroll down. The exploitation of the child is being used by the actual movement that is being enabled to protect a child. You also notice references to people that are in the so-called music industry that have exploited the Q movement. So these are the top videos on YouTube, and I don't think it's a coincidence that it's dealing with the exploitation of children at all. I think it's exactly what the data says it is. There's more money made off of the exploitation of children on this thing called the internet than anything in the history of the world. And the usurpation of people's rights to assemble is being used live against them for continued ways to monetize additional exploitation of children. Not because I'm saying it, but because it's what the data says. Now I'm going to stop right here because I think this man, this schoolboy Q, I think he's one of the worst examples of a usurpation of anybody's rights that I've ever seen. And then it comes back up to what we're telling you. What is statistical odds, if this little stream matters, what is the statistical odds of a movement named Q that's been enabled around the world to protect children? What are the odds of people profiting from the Q movement at levels of 1 billion views on a video, or a live stream that's the number 2 structure, or 747 videos, or 359 million views? I mean, let this sink in. Because see, this is what they're going to continue to do. They're going to continue anytime the masses are to a point of waking up, if you will, to the usurpation of rights using this radio. This is what they're going to do. They're going to use the thing that people are concerned about against them and be live in your face exploiting the people that you're trying to protect. Now this is what the data says, and it's right there in your face. One more time. What is statistical odds of the Q movement being used to profit from the exploitation of children? That would be all I need to say about this tiny little stream. You don't have to take my word for it. You can go do the same example on your own and prove me wrong. To the Toys and Colors channel and to this Vlad and Nikita channel, it's wrong what they're doing here, because we know that the funds that have been generated from these particular videos have been used to continue to allow for deployment of additional unsafe toys for children and unsafe tracking of children. See, these so-called changes to protect children, they're all fake. At least that's what the data I'm looking at says. The human being cannot perceive in a collective the ability to stop profiting from the exploitation of a human being. And the human being cannot perceive the reality of suppressing the rights of a child in favor of an adult making a monetary object. And until that trend changes, and it won't change until somebody gets a handle on what YouTube is doing here, we know that inside of these circles, these top 25 videos here, there are people that are exploiting children daily. So I'll end this little stream and hope that somebody else can see the reality of what I'm saying here. And we'll see what happens. That would be all I know about this today. Another example of fraud under color of law by a so-called streaming platform.